Hi, Namaste. Good morning to all. First of all, hearty welcome to my video lecture. This is Nisar Begum, working as a guest faculty lecturer in computer science at Government Degree College Autonomous Anantapuram. And my qualification is MSc Computer Science, MA Hindi, and recently I qualified in APSET in the year 2017. So I have a 10 years experience in the teaching. So I decided to make a video on the basic concepts of the Java. So my subject is a computer science and our topic is basic concepts related to Java. Thank you. Please come and let me discuss about the basic concepts of the Java. Thank you. Okay. So everybody should know what are the basic concepts in Java. That's why I decided to make this video. So please come and enjoy the video and watch the video and learn something about Java. So in this session, I covered the topics. First of all, I covered differences between the structured and object-oriented programming differences and introduction about the object-oriented programming language, features of the object-oriented programming language, history of Java, Java importance, where Java is used, about Java JVM, Java program translation, applications and benefits of the O and features of the Java. Of course, this video may be a lengthy one. I may consume your lot of time, but be patient and listen and watch my video. Okay, let's start with the first slide, that is the differences between structured and object-oriented programming. So here we will discuss structured versus object-oriented programming. So first of all, structured programming and object-oriented programming. See here, first, structured programming paradigm divides the code into modules or functions. We know that C is a structured programming language, and of course there are some structured programming languages which follow the modular methods. That means module, he means here functions. I mean, here the complex program is divided into small modules. Each module have a specific functionality. So in the structured programming, the paradigm, here the term paradigm stands for pattern of something. So here the paradigm of the structured programming divides the code into the modules or the functions in the structured programming. And next, object-oriented programming, the paradigm is divided into objects. Here the most powerful one, the name itself tells object-oriented programming. That means everything, the program is divided into objects. Objects, in turn, please observe the content in the brackets. An object consists of data and methods also. So we can simply say that an object is a combination of the data and the methods. Okay. Next, we will see the second point of the structured programming. In the structured programming, data is not secured. So which is the where where it is a lack of the programming, that is data is not secured. And in the object oriented programming, data is very highly secured. Okay. And next, here in the structured programming follows the top down approach. So structured programming follows the top down approach, whereas the object oriented programming follows the bottom up approach. Next, the point is structured programming. In the structured programming, it is very difficult to reuse the code, whereas in the object oriented programming, it is very easy to reuse already existing code. And in the structured programming, there is not much importance to the data, whereas the object oriented programming treats the data as a critical element. Okay, so these are the basic differences between the structured and the object-oriented programming. Why I focus all these points? Because you have to make a difference between the structured programming and object-oriented programming. Okay, next we will see the next slide. So that is a introduction to object-oriented programming. So just we discussed in the previous slide that the object-oriented programming divides the code into the objects. So everything is in terms of object in the object-oriented programming, class and object. So we will discuss what is a class and what is object in further slides. So first here, introduction to object-oriented programming, the basic definition. It is a principle of the designing and developing the programs using the modular approach. Already we discussed that the complex program is divided into modules. That means each module have a specific functionality. Okay, here the object-oriented programming mainly treats the data as a critical element. And next point is Java programs are built by combining the functions that operate on the data. So most of the Java programs are built due to the, based on the functions of the different functions which can operate on the data. And next, here there is a list of some object-oriented programming languages. Those are C++, Java, C#, Smalltalk, Perl, and Python. Okay, yes. Next we will see the next slide. So, whenever you learn the object-oriented programming, you should have a basic knowledge about the features of the object-oriented programming language. So, I listed some features which are essential in the object-oriented programming. So first of all, we will discuss data encapsulation, data abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, class, object, dynamic binding, and message passing. So these are the essential features of the object-oriented programming language. Okay. So here, these are the basic definitions of the data and the object-oriented programming features. First of all, I will discuss what is the data encapsulation. So data encapsulation is nothing but combining the code and the data into a single unit and keeps them safe from the external interface and misuse. Here, see that we are taking the code and data, and we are providing a security to that particular data from external attacks. So we are securing our data, our valuable data, from the accidental modifications or the accidental access from the outside world or outside area, whatever it may be. So we are hiding our data by providing it as a security. That is known as the encapsulation. Got it? That is known as a data encapsulation. And next one is the data abstraction. Data abstraction means without knowing the background details of any object, we are making use of that particular object. So let me give an example about the data abstraction. Let us assume that I have a marker. So this marker, I don't know about this marker, that is where it is manufactured, which material it is using to manufacture that particular marker, but still I am making use of that particular object, that particular marker, and I don't know what are the background details of that particular object. Still I am making use of that particular object. This is known as a data abstraction. So focusing on only the essential features but not the unnecessary matter, it is known as a data abstraction. And next very important feature is inheritance. Inheritance means it allows you to extend and reuse already existing code or a class. So means let us suppose that you developed a program in Java. So with some statements or some code, so you want to extend it. So you can extend further by using the concept of inheritance. So that means you can create a subclass from the base class. Subclass from the base class. That means you can create more classes. That means new classes from the existing one, which can be said that we can reuse, and also we can extend the features of the existing code, existing class, existing class. Okay, yes. So simply we can say that it allows you for the extension and reuse of already existing code or class. Through the inheritance, you can create new class from the existing class. Okay. So next one is a polymorphism. Simply we can say that one name, multiple forms. So let us assume that we have an operator plus. So plus is used for addition in mathematical concept, whereas it is used as concatenation operator in the Java. Is it? So it is acting as both, that is it consists of it is acting as both additional operator and also here the concatenation operator. That means operator is one but the operations are multiple, that here, so that we can say that it is a polymorphism. It is the best example for the polymorphism. So simply we can say one name, multiple forms. So next very important feature is the class. So what is a class? Class is a collection of similar objects. So already I told you that in object-oriented programming language, everything is in the concept of objects. It is, paradigm is divided into the objects. So these type of the similar types of the objects form a class. So in other words, we can say that class is a collection of data members and member functions. And next, so object. Object means any real world entity which has a unique properties. So in the real world, every object is a different one which has a unique properties, not the same properties. Even if you consider the twin persons, they are also of course they have the same name, same features, but in at least in one feature they may different, is it? So that's why in this real world every object is with the different features, with the unique features. Got it? Yes. Next we will discuss. So here another point is that an object, we can say the object as an instance of a class. Okay. Next another feature is the dynamic binding. So dynamic binding means here combining. So what you are combining? You are combining the code to the function call at the runtime. At the runtime means here the term dynamic called as a runtime. That means you are combining the code at the runtime to a procedure call. Here procedure call means function call. Simply we can say that function call. You are combining the code at the runtime to the procedure call. Okay, this is known as a dynamic binding. And then is a message passing. So message passing. We know that in class there are number of similar objects. So there may be a question, how one object is communicating with another object. Simply here is the answer. One object is communicating with another object by passing the messages, so that they are communicating with each other by using the messages. That means by passing the messages they are communicating. Okay. Yes, this feature is called as a message passing. Next we will discuss. Okay, so with this we completed all the features of the object-oriented programming. So let me overview all these object-oriented programming features. So data encapsulation is also known as a data hiding, where you are providing the security to your data. And data abstraction means You are focusing only the essential features of the object but not unnecessary matter. Okay, next is the inheritance. Inheritance means it allows the extension and reuse of already existing code. And next is the polymorphism. Polymorphism means one name, multiple forms. Okay, and next is a class. Collection of similar objects are gathered at some place. That place is known as a class. And next is a object. Object means which has a unique identity and it may call as an instance of a class. And next is a dynamic binding. You are combining the code to the procedure call at the runtime. And next is a message passing. You are passing, one object is communicating with another object by passing the messages. This is known as a message passing. So with this we completed all the object-oriented programming features. In the next slide we will discuss history of the Java. Okay, so let me tell about the history of Java. So Java is a pure object-oriented programming language which was developed by James Gosling and a team of members. This team is known as a Green Team. So in this Green Team, the collection of 5 members. So among them, James Gosling is a very popular one. He is a famous one. And this team includes Ed Frank, Sheridan, Chris Worth, Patrick Norton. Okay, and in the James Gosling introduced Java at Sun Microsystems and Sun Microsystems in the early 1990s. So first of all, the old name for the Java is Oak, which is a coffee seed name, which was renamed as Java in the year 1991. Okay, so this is a brief history related to the Java. Next we will discuss why Java is important. So in most of the web applications, it is used. That means, so let me see here what is the first point. So Java is one of the most popular programming language used to create web applications and platform. So already I told you it is very essential to create to use the Java programming language. By using Java programming language, you can create web applications on different platforms, and it provides the flexibility for the developers to write the code once and run it on any machine. So that means it is architecture independent and platform independent. Okay, and next one is according to the Java homepage, more than 1 billion computers and 3 billion mobile phones worldwide can run Java. So this is a very important one, that very essential one, that why we are using the Java. Okay, and next let me discuss where Java is used. According to the Sun, 3 billion devices run Java. Already we discussed 1 billion computers and 3 billion mobile phones worldwide can run Java. So here there are some applications and some devices where we are using the Java. So here the first one, desktop applications. That means you can use in the Acrobat Reader, Media Player, antiviruses, etc. And in the web applications, in the enterprise applications, that means banking application, business application, etc. And in the embedded systems, and in the games, also in robotics. Okay. Next, we will discuss what is a JVM. JVM is the heart of the Java programming. So without JVM, we cannot run a Java program. So Java Virtual Machine is just like a computer machine which translates the high-level language into a machine-level language. So let me see what is a Java program translation. Here we know that Java is a compiled as well as interpreted language. So using the Java programming, how it is the Java program is how the Java program is converted from the source code to the machine code. So here is the answer. JVM provides the two basic commands which are javac and Java. Using javac, here C stands for compilation or compiler. So compilation means you are compiling the program from beginning to ending, and at the end it will gives you the errors. Whereas the interpretation means you are checking the errors line by line. That means, of course, here the compiler means not a device, it is a software, it is a program. Okay, so it will compile the entire program and will give you errors at last. Okay, whereas the interpretation can check for the errors line by line. Okay, so here there are the two powerful commands, those are javac and Java. So with the javac you can perform the compilation, with the Java command you can perform interpretation. So let us see. First of all, you take the Java source code. That means whatever you written in a Java language, which will be converted into the bytecode through the javac command. Through the javac command. This process is known as a compilation. Whereas Java, using the Java command, you are performing interpretation. That means the bytecode, here the bytecode is also known as a dot class file. Okay, so this dot class file is not understood, not in the human readable format. So that will be converted into a machine code through the Java command. So okay, so these are the methods how Java JVM is converting source code into the machine code. So by using the javac command and Java command, here the source code is converted into the machine code. Okay, next we will discuss what are the benefits of the object oriented programming language. So let me discuss the first point. Through the concept of the inheritance, Java eliminates the redundancy and allows you to extend the new features. Of course, it eliminates redundancy. Redundancy means the duplication in the data. So object-oriented programming allows you to eliminate the redundancy. That means to eliminate the duplication in the data, and also allows you to extend the new features, to allow you to create the new features and to reuse the already existing one. Okay, and next one is through data hiding, Java builds secure programs. Of course, already we discussed the data encapsulation, that is nothing but the data hiding, so which allows you to build secure programs. Okay, and next one is through Java, it is to partition the project based on the objects. Of course, here the Java program divides partition the project based on the objects only. And next is software complexity is easily managed or betterly managed. So that means, so complex programs can be easily managed through the object oriented programming language. So these are the basic definitions, basic benefits of the object oriented programming language. And next we will discuss what are the applications of the object oriented programming language. So these are the applications of the object oriented programming language which are used in real time systems. So here real time systems means a system with a fixed time bounds or fixed constraint is known as a real time system. Is any real time system means any computer system with a fixed time intervals. Okay, and next is the simulation and modeling. Simulation and modeling means physical and logical representation of a given system to generate data. Okay, and next is a object oriented databases. We discussed databases, and we discuss database means is which is in the form of a tabular form, which consists of an organized collection of the data. Okay, so object oriented programming means it is in terms of objects only. And next is a hypertext, hypermedia, and hypertext. Hypertext, through the HTML language you can develop web pages that the text that you are highlighting on the web pages is known as a hypertext, and you are using the hypermedia. Hypermedia means which consists of images, audio, video, animations, etc., etc. And expert text means linking one page, one text to another text. We can call it as a hyperlink also. And next, in the artificial intelligence and in the expert systems, it is used. And next is the neural networks and parallel programming, decision support systems, and office automation systems, SIM and CAD. SIM, here the abbreviation for SIM is computer integrated manufacturing. Computer integrated manufacturing. Of course, I may not clear with my pen. Okay, yes, computer integrated manufacturing. So this is the definition for, this is the abbreviation for SIM. And CAD means computer aided design. Okay, yes, so these are the basic applications of the object oriented programming language. And next, let me discuss features of the Java. Java is a compiled and interpreted language. Also, already I discussed what is the compilation, what is the interpretation. So compilation means the entire program is compiled at once and finally it will give the errors, whereas the interpretation means line by line checking for each and every error. Okay, next is Java is a compiled and interpreted language. Next is Java is a simple language. It is a familiar language, pure object oriented programming language, robust, secured. It has a high performance and multi-threaded, platform independent and distributed language. So let me discuss all these features one by one. Compiled and interpreted language. So in the previous slides, I discussed how Java program translates. Here, see, with the Java source code is converted into the bytecode, and then bytecode is converted into the machine code. So this is known as compilation and interpretation. So we can say that Java is a compiled as well as interpreted language. If you focus on these points, using Java C, Java commands, the source code is converted into the bytecode and the bytecode is converted into the machine code. So we can say that it is a compiled and interpreted language. Simple language. So Java is a simple language. Yes, it's sure. Why? Because it eliminates all the tough concepts and provides simple keywords so that it is very easy to catch what is a Java language, so that because of its simplicity, because it provides simple keywords and avoids the complicated concepts which we learn in C and C++. So here Java eliminated tough or complicated keywords such as typedef, struct, union, pointers, etc. Whereas it avoids the tough concepts related to templates, preprocessor directives, operator overloading, go-to statement, etc., etc. So due to its simplicity, Java became popular. And next one is a familiar language. Yes, Java is a familiar language to all of us if you have the background of C and C++ knowledge. Okay, if you have a C and C++ knowledge, all the basic concepts in the C and C++ language are covered in the Java, and additionally it adds some extra features. So we can simply say that it is inheritance. Why? Because C++ is a new language which is inherited from C, whereas Java combines both the features of C and C++. So it is very easy to the person who has the background of C and C++ knowledge. Next one is a pure object oriented programming language. We can say that Java is a pure object oriented programming language. Why? Because it follows all the object oriented programming features. We come across what are the basic features of the object oriented programming. Among them, it supports very powerful features such as abstraction. We know that abstraction means focusing only on the essential features but not on unnecessary matters. And next is a encapsulation. We know that we don't want to access our valuable data to others or for misinterpretation. Okay, so that's why we are providing our data a secured one. That means we are providing a security to our data through the concept of encapsulation. That is also known as the data hiding. And next one is the inheritance. It allows the extension and reuse of already existing code or already existing class. And next is the polymorphism. We already discussed. Polymorphism means one name, multiple forms. Okay. So supporting all these object-oriented programming features, so Java is a pure, we can say that Java is a pure object-oriented language. And next is Java is a robust language. Robust means strong. We can say that it is a strong and powerful one. So why it is a strong and powerful one? Due to its strong memory management. And next, it avoids the complicated concepts such as the pointers, which may cause some security problems. And next, Java provides automatic garbage collection. At the same time, it supports exceptional handling mechanism. Here, let me discuss what is a garbage collection. Garbage collection means whatever the memory which is in an unused position, that will be cleared by automatic garbage collection. And next is a exceptional handling mechanism. Exception means an abnormal condition. While you are running a program, there may be an abnormal condition that you don't know that may be caused due to the hardware or a software failure. Okay, so in such situation, exceptional handling mechanism handles that particular exception and provides the solution to that particular exception. So we can say that Java is a robust language due to all this. So due to its strong memory management and avoids the pointers, supports the automatic garbage collection and supports exceptional handling mechanism. Next, another one is the secure language. We can say that Java is a secured language because of its data hiding concept. Also, it provides static type checking and compile time checking so that we can develop secure programs. So we can say that Java is a secure language. Next is a platform independent. This is very, very powerful concept or powerful feature of the Java. So platform independent, if you focus on the last slogan, write once, run anywhere. If you write once the code in any machine, that can be run on any machine. That is any machine or any platform. So that means here the platform means on any operating system. That may be either in the Windows or Macintosh operating system or Linux or Solaris, whatever it may be, the operating system. You can write it on one machine and can run on any platform. That is called as a platform independent. And next is a portable language. So you can write a code on one machine and can easily move on to another machine. That is known as a portability. Next one is a high performance. So high performance, we know that JVM provides a lot of commands. So previously we discussed two commands, that is javac and java. So these two powerful commands converts the source code into the machine code. That means the javac converts the source code into the machine byte code, and then byte code is converted into the machine code. So here the process of compilation and interpretation is done in a in a high speed. That means with the full speed you can get your output. That means it has a high performance. We can say that it is performing with a full speed. Okay, so we can say that it is a high performance language. And next is a multi-threaded language. Thread means a flow of execution of a program. Here Java supports more than one thread. Those are concurrently running. So we can say that more than one task can be performed at the same time. So it supports the concept of the multi-threading. That means you can build applications with many concurrent threads of activity, resulting in highly interactive and responsive applications. So Java is a multi-threaded language. Next we can say that Java is a distributed language. Distributing, the name itself does. We are distributing something. So what here you are distributing? You are distributing the essential information or data, whatever it may be. So the distributed technology means sharing the data. Sharing the data. I can say that the client and server technology is the best example for the distributed technology, distributed language. So we can say that Java is a distributed language. Also through RMI, that means remote method invocation, and the EJB, enterprise Java Beans. These are the basic distributed technologies. We can say that these are the client and server technology is the best one to say that it is a distributed language. Okay, so Java is a distributed language so that it can more than one machine can share the data. Okay, so with this we discussed all the basic features of the Java, so which I covered in this session. That is, Java is a compiled and interpreted language, simple, familiar, pure object-oriented programming language, robust, secure, high performance, multi-threaded, and platform independent and distributed language. Okay. So here we covered all the basic concepts in the Java. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. So this is my first video lecture that I will deliver. If you like my video, please share this knowledge to your friends also. Thank you.